comes in. So we're going to record this. So welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy pending New Year. And I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. Um, with the chaos going around the world, I know a lot of people weren't able to spend time with their families as they wanted to, which I think is horrific and terrible. But it's not my platform to discuss. So today, as we get into the new year, I wanted to hit on a couple fun points and do a little tutorial on probably the most important change that our little root project has done. So as we saw in November, we blew out all of our inventory, which was amazing. And it provided an opportunity to have a lot more development done and to finish the production of some new batches of product. And as we have discussed in the past, we've taught the importance of trace mineral supplementation, and that we have to have extra trace minerals, especially when you're cleaning up your body and you're detoxifying. And with the use of Clean Slate, it's really, really important to add trace minerals. And it's important to add trace minerals as Nicola drinks some water, which is also extremely crucial. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. But the trace minerals are important because heavy metals block binding sites for trace minerals. So as you're using your Clean Slate, and I'll just use this as an example, right? This is a cell with binding sites, and you might have calcium, magnesium, potassium, different essential lighter heavy metals. The mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, aluminum, those heavier metals, the toxic heavy metals, will actually block binding sites. So as you're using your Clean Slate and you're cleaning up some of those binding sites, you have to make sure that you're adding more of the good stuff, the good guys, to get to those binding sites and to feed your cells, which are crucial for proper metabolic function and overall healthy cellular function and wellness. And through this process, as I think our community understands, our goal is to be able to focus on value, because we have an entire reward structure that is predicated on giving value to those who create value. And many of you here are familiar with that process and have been able to benefit, many greatly, from that process so far. But from a corporate perspective, we're also very focused on how to provide more value. And from inception, when we were creating the concepts for Root, we knew that the trace mineral component was going to be very, very, very important. And we had designed some trace mineral supplements to sell alongside Clean Slate. But in looking at the market and understanding the price points and such, it just wasn't deemed feasible that we felt comfortable in producing a secondary companion product to Clean Slate that would sell for $30, $50, $60. There are companies that sell trace mineral supplements for $60 to $80. It's insane. So we just put it in the bottle in here. So what is shipping now in the warehouse in Europe and Germany and Slovenia and in the United States is the new version. And I'm going to hit on a couple things today. One, what the new version is, but then also what the new labels are going to show, because we have EU approval for Clean Slate, which is amazing on its own right. But the labels are going to read differently. And we're going to walk through why they read differently and why this is important. And then Mihail, I will hit on sourcing for that as well. So first, Clean Slate is going to have a different flavor. It's going to taste different. And if you're adding it to water, you won't notice. But if you are one like me who takes it direct in your mouth, I haven't used this bottle in a couple of days. This is actually the first bottle of the new solution, and it'll get you. It has a salty flavor to it with a stronger citric flavor, because we added more vitamin C, which was a matter of compliance in the EU, and we added a trace mineral solution, which is from sea salt. And so you have inland seawater, and this is not seawater from the Pacific or the Atlantic Oceans. You don't want to actually use trace minerals from seawater now, because of the microplastics and nanoplastic issue that we've created, with so many plastic bottles being in oceans and breaking down, and the nanoplastic issue. And that's why we talk about the importance of Himalayan sea salt, because Himalayan sea salt is hundreds of millions of years old and not part of the seas. So we're using an inland sea source from another seabed here in the United States as an alternative. And the flavor is different. I can tell you from personal experience, from being the first one who's been able to use this in its new version. And a lot of times, if you watch some of my videos, you'll see that I get really puffy under my eyes. And it's funny because I've had people tell me that I have endocrine issues, and I have liver function issues. And here's a secret. So about me, if you see my eyes puffy, if I eat terribly, like, I love my corn dogs because I love to talk about it. If I eat corn dogs, if I eat potatoes, if I eat wheat, if I eat glyphosate, if I eat pasta, I get puffy under my eyes because my body doesn't like it. That's where I'll show a lot of inflammation. And these are the fun things, is as you start to adjust and as your body starts to become cleaner, we talk about how we become more environmentally sensitive. This is one of the best things for me, is your body will become more sensitive to its environment, not only the outside environment, but what you do to the internal environment. And with this little guy, 2 weeks ago, when I first got the first sample in to try this, actually it was before, I think it was Tuesday, before we had our regular conversations, and I was really puffy here. I think I took 10 drops or so. I have a tendency to take more than what the bottle tells me I should take. But in 10 minutes, the inflammation around my eyes was gone. It blew me away. And so you'll see that this is probably going to be stronger in effect than what we've already seen. And what we already know is that this stuff works really, really well already. So get ready to watch some interesting stuff. So you've got your trace minerals. This doesn't mean that you don't need to supplement with other trace minerals, because trace minerals are crucial. And if eat more Himalayan sea salt, it makes it really simple. If you eat food, we know salt has been used for millennia as a preservative. It's a flavor additive because it's amazing. But get Himalayan sea salt, not iodized salt, but Himalayan sea salt, or we can say Celtic sea salt, even though some of it's not as ideal right now. But if you're up in my favorite regions like Ireland and Wales, where some of my roots come from, the Celtic sea salts are amazing. So eat more sea salt. But the new solution is going to have some of those trace minerals in it. And I think for a lot of our Eastern Europeans and some of our other countries over in Europe, you're going to find a major uptick in results. And we've already seen amazing ones, as we've discussed. But a couple things to this. One, add it to water, right? So it makes it really simple, so people don't complain about the taste. But I've had a few people here try it and they're like, "Oh, that's strong," but it's not a problem. It's salty, and it's salty and has that vitamin C flavor to it. It's a little bit stronger. Just add it to water. won't taste it, no big deal. Or if you take it directly in your mouth, drink some water with it, you wash it away, it goes away pretty quick. The most important thing that I want to hit on with this is the previous version without the sea salts. People have used them as eye drops. I have. My family has for years. Don't do it. Let me repeat. Don't put this in your eyes. It's too strong and not been tested, so just don't do it. For vision function, you'll have enough benefit using it orally, because of the microvascular function of the eyes. Those are the smallest arteries in the eyes, with your eyes and your ears, and an erectile function for guys. But please, please, please hear me. I'm gonna type this for everybody here so we get this, because I want to make this clear. I'm gonna capitalize it. Do not put the new Clean Slate in your eyes. It was never recommended. It was off label, but please don't do it now. Ears, your call. It's off label, not anything we're going to discuss. Here's what Clean Slate is designed for. I don't want to waste it on my hand, so I'll just use one drop. But you can use it topically. We know it's great topically. We know it's great orally. If you want to try it and test it out for different stuff, do it, because you're probably going to find that it's really, really cool. Ears, nose. We've had some interesting conversations on nose, on nasal use, because if you want something to cross the blood-brain barrier really, really quickly, it's actually through your nasal passages. Because the blood-brain barrier, that membrane that's here, is really, really thin. And because of the size of the fragments of Clean Slate, if you wanted something to cross your blood-brain barrier really quickly, you could actually use it up your nose. Side note, but don't put it in your eyes. Please, 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 please. Don't put it in your eyes. So we got that done. So we can't wait for feedback on the new version, and it's shipping. We've got a whole lot of inventory in Slovenia and Germany, so we're shipping all over. For our UK contingent friends, because of Brexit happening, we are working with our fulfillment providers in Slovenia and Germany to move some product directly into the UK, so we can start shipping in the UK to the UK, and probably to Ireland and Wales and such. And one important part when it comes to shipping right now, we live in an environment, as you guys know, that we really can't control. And the COVID environment is weighing heavily on different industries, and logistics is a massive one. So we are doing everything that we can to make sure that we are doing everything possible to provide the best delivery time, to all of our 60 plus countries that we are shipping products to right now. Whether we ship from the United States, if we ship from Germany, if we ship from Slovenia, or soon to be the UK, and in Africa. I think we've got pretty much everything covered from there. We can actually deliver to China in a couple days from Slovenia. It's absolutely crazy. And Australia in a few days. But because of how countries are working with this COVID environment over the last couple weeks, and honestly, for the next, I'll give it the next month, this is going to get wicked. It's going to get nasty, especially here in the United States, because of the political environment that this was all built around and what's happening really globally. Delivery times might be a little bit slow, and they've been slow for the last couple of weeks. It's not anything we can control. It's not anything you can control. It's not anything that even DHL, GLS, FedEx, UPS, the U.S. Postal Service, any of your postal services, it's not anything that they can control. So we say patience, but we're doing everything we can to control what we can control, and then react really well to that which we can't. So that's the logistics point. So now let's talk about zeolites, and let's talk about the labels, because for the first time we were able to get a zeolite derived product approved in the EU, and I think we have approval in Switzerland, we have approval in the UK. We're working on the non-EU countries. There's going to be many different labels of Clean Slate because of proper labeling needs in different countries. So in the United States, the new labels, and I don't have, let me see if I can pull these up so I can share my screen so you guys can see these. Maybe that's the easiest way to do this. Give me a moment here as I try to do this, because it's show and tell day. Because they say document everything, and documentation beats conversation. Give me a second. I'm going to shrink this to where okay, so we got that. So first I'm going to show you the United States, and then we'll look at the EU. And granted, some of the different countries are going to read a little bit different, but this will be the foundation. So in the United States, I got to sign checks too, apparently.
Oh, yes.
In the United States, you'll see a couple things. So on the right, when it has supplement facts, vitamin C is approved as a supplement, and it's of the additives that we have, of the components, it's the one that has an RDA, right? A recommended daily allowance and a daily value. Clinoptilolite doesn't, and the seawater and potassium sorbate is an additive. So on the supplement facts, you see that there's 14 milligrams of vitamin C as ascorbic acid in every 10 drops of Clean Slate. And then when you look at other ingredients, you see that there's water, there's concentrated seawater, which is now the trace minerals, and you see clinoptilolite. There's clino, there's the fragments. And the potassium sorbate, which is the additive. You got the Good Manufacturing Practices logo, and everything is banned substance free. So you can see that the clinoptilolite is there. And this is where process comes in. And I think there was a couple questions that popped up here initially that I'll hit on here. Hi, I'll ask the first one. Let me see here. So the clinoptilolite that we use, we are very, very fortunate that in the United States, the US has some of the best beds of clinoptilolite in the world. And many of them are in Idaho, Oregon, New Mexico, and Arizona. And these are areas that have not been industrialized, and they are, I know one of the previous mines that we worked with was over 4,000 acres and 20 feet deep of just pure, well, not pure clinoptilolite, but clinoptilolite beds. And some of it has mordanite, bentonite, and other zeolites in it. And this is actually a really important part of quality. So we source from an exclusive mine that provides 97% pure clinoptilolite and it's 3% bentonite. And what's important is that's our raw. When we get the clinoptilolite powder, it's mined, and it's mined from the purest source available, which is really, really, really important. Quality is everything in every ingredient, but really important in this aspect. And it's ground into, I think it's a -40 mesh. So it's like flour, right? If you're cooking and you take flour and you throw it in the air, it's really, really light, and the particle size is really small. This is our raw ingredient. Some companies will just take that and they will mix it in water and have the water shaken. So the bits of powder that are heavier, that have more heavy metals or toxins and stuff in it, will actually sink. And then the powder that floats, they skim off, they dry out. They call it tribomechanical activated zeolite. So TMAZ is the term that you'll see for powdered clinoptilolite. All that's done is they skim it, they dry it, they throw it in a bucket or in a jar, and they charge a lot of money for it. I mean, a lot. If you guys knew how much just the powder cost, and for the companies that are charging 30, 40, 50, $60 for a tub of clinoptilolite powder, you'd really choke. I mean, the margins are insane for how much money the companies make that are charging $59 for a 1 pound or a 2 pound tub of clinoptilolite powder. There might be things coming that are better than that because we innovate here. But what everyone else puts in a tub, that's our raw, right? So we take clinoptilolite that we source from our mine, and that's where our process begins. So through our cryogenic fracking, thermal shock, cleansing, and polarization process, we're able to, as you guys know, break apart these fragments or create these fragments that are really, really small, that become the solution of clean slate, and the concentrate. And then from the concentrate, we add water, to dilute it. And because I'm not even crazy enough to use just the straight concentrate, because it would be much too strong. We actually dilute clean slate 15-1, because you don't need that much at a time. You could use 1 drop of the concentrate equal to 15 drops of clean slate. And it gives you an idea of, what we'd be working with. And it once it's bottled, it's polarized, which enhances the energetic signature, the frequency, and the natural negative charge of the crystals. And that's a unique process. It's proprietary to us. No one's ever done it before. And so what's important in this process is where the EU labels come from, and some of the science of what we've talked about with orthosilicic acid and silica. So clinoptilolite is a sodium aluminosilicate. And when you hear that in conversation, most people ask about the aluminum content, because aluminum is a toxic heavy metal. But aluminum is part of the molecular structure of this crystal. It is, hear me on this, it is not bioavailable. It is not something that is absorbable in the molecular structure of the crystal. Now, granted, clinoptilolite is a sieve and is able to bind free aluminum. So the concern, and this comes from the powders and maybe other products on the market that are clinoptilolite based, that are using powders and water, is the possible release of aluminum from inside the cages because of what's stored. And there's a company, I'll just name them, Cosiva, that has a product called Clear TRS that promotes a synthetic sodium aluminosilicate. They claim that it's a synthetic zeolite. You can't make synthetic zeolites. Zeolites are produced naturally. You can produce synthetic aluminosilicates, right? Which is what they're promoting as to be really good because it's clean. Well, here's the problem. Science shows that these synthetic aluminosilicates can degrade and break down in stomach acid. They've never been approved for human consumption. They're primarily designed for the petroleum and tire industry. But this company is actually selling them as a nutritional supplement. It's never been approved for human consumption and runs the risk of having these fragments, this aluminosilicate, actually denature, break apart inside your stomach to release aluminum, which is a neurotoxin. There's no benefit to it in the human body. So we would never do that. But this is the key. As part of the sodium aluminosilicate backbone of clinoptilolite, it is not bioavailable. And through the cleansing process and the process we use to break apart the crystal, we don't make free aluminum. We actually eliminate any aluminum or other metals that could be stored inside the cage structures or that can be available. There's like 1 or 2 parts per billion of metals that we can't get out of the cage that are just too well bound in that structure, but we clean out the majority, 99+% of the metals and toxins that are in that cage structure. But what we do release and what we do make available is the last part, the silica, the orthosilicic acid. And the other term for orthosilicic acid is silicon dioxide. And you're probably familiar with silicon or silicon or silica as an important supplement that maybe we don't get enough of. And I'm going to pull up one more thing here before we look at the EU labels to make sure that we're all on the same page. Because what do we love to do? We love to learn and we love to educate. Because that is our foundation. Let me find it here. We'll go Clino Research. Find my highlighted page. And we've referenced this a few times, but we're going to go over it again really quickly here. So we're going to share the screen. Go here. So this, as we've touched on numerous times before, was published in 2013 in the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism. And Dr. Pavlich, I still have to continually give his team a ton of props for everything that they do. But you can see silicon is the most abundant element present in the Earth's crust. It's crucial for biological function. It helps to build collagen. But what makes this so unique is silica gel, right? Amorphous silicon dioxide. So I want you to make sure that you're paying attention to that word, silicon dioxide. And you pay attention to this word, right? Because we know what zeolites we use. We use clinoptilolite. And this phrase right here, the most unusual orthosilicic acid releasing agents are certain types of zeolites, a class of aluminosilicates with well-described ion-cationic exchange properties. And I'm not going to go through this entire article. Here's what the cage structure looks like of what we always talk about. We've gone over this before. I'm not going to go over all the data that they find and what they talk about is amazing about this property of orthosilicic acid for treating osteoporosis and Alzheimer's and having amazing skin and hair and immune function benefits. But we look at the source as orthosilicic acid. This is important to understand, though, of what studies have shown this amazing little crystal, because of its ability to share silica and the aluminosilicates, can be used in biosensors, can be used for enzyme mimetics, can be beneficial in bone formation. Oh, hold on. Let me zoom in on this one here so you guys can see this, because it's not me saying it, it's not you saying it. Make this a little bigger. Oh, let's blow it up one more time. Well, maybe one more time. So, what does that mean? Vaccine adjuvants. Well, research shows it could be beneficial with different vaccines. And why would this be important in this environment where there's a new COVID vaccine? And I'm not going to get into the virology conversation and my position on vaccines and the benefit of them, but I'll tell you this from what I know, and this is my personal opinion. Don't don't put this on anybody else. It's not root speaking, but from what I understand in virology, and granted, I'm not an immunologist, I'm not a virologist, I don't have a PhD in any of those. I don't hold an MD. I'm not a naturopath. I'm not a DO. I'm not a doctor, right? I was banned from being a doctor. I am not a practicing physician. I do not hold a doctorate. But I grew up in a veterinary practice. I learned about vaccinosis, which is actually a term used in veterinary medicine, but not used in human medicine for a reason. Because vaccinosis is an issue of being over vaccinated in animals. If you over vaccinate, you give a horse or a dog or a cat too many vaccines, they get sick. Ooh, who knew? That a vaccine takes 12 to 16 months for it to even work in your body. So, say we have a threat right now and you want to get vaccinated for it. But based on that process, the way your immune system works and the way your body functions, that jab you could get now won't even become beneficial in your immune system for 12 to 16 to 18 months. So you got to really think about that and be wary of what you're doing. But it's all the stuff, the adjuvants that are in that vaccine. Mercury, which is thimerosal, could be diploid cells, mixed RNA from different stuff. I'm not going to get into all the science because you got to remember, my amazing better half, she has postdoctoral work at Harvard in nanotechnology and bioscience engineering. She just finished a pharmaceutical design certification at Cornell. She just finished a nutritional certification program at Cornell. She's been at Alexion, Biogen, IDEC, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, UCB. She has a PhD and a PsyD and probably an EDD to go along with it. We're trying to figure out if she's got 3 or 2. But she was an adjunct professor at Johns Hopkins in teaching oncology and in the cancer research work. And she's had cancer 4 times. She's had 2 kids who had cancer, lost 1. So there's a little bit of experience here. But in the cancer trials that she was initially working on, in working with cancer patients and sick people, they weren't allowed to get vaccinated because it destroys your immune system. Think about that. Not friendly. So this way, as an adjuvant, it can be working on cleaning stuff up. So science shows that it can be anti-tumor, contrast and magnetic resonance. And you've heard from Teresa. If you haven't been on YouTube and watched Teresa's testimonial about her gadolinium toxicity from many MRIs and the benefits she's received, it's amazing. Clinoptilolite has been used as an antidiarrheal for decades. It can be used for decontamination, hemodialysis, because it can help clean up your kidneys. And external applications, delayed drug release. This also gives you some ideas because we're the only ones that have ever made these fragments in the form that we're making them in. All of these different pathways are fun little things that we'll have over time. But that got into a science conversation I wasn't expecting. But the conclusion, maybe a prominent therapeutic agent in humans. Why? Because it's crucial in many aspects of bodily function. So, what makes this important? Well, orthosilicic acid is silicon dioxide. What did we just see? The best source, the best natural source and unique source of bioavailable silica, orthosilicic acid, silicon dioxide, is clinoptilolite. So this is where the European labels come in. And this is why this is so important, because no one's ever done this before. And this is a main conversation point for you guys. I know, because we get questions on this constantly. So let's look at the European labels. And this is the first time this has ever been approved in Europe. You guys will see this not currently with the bottles that are shipping, because this production run is being done right now. And we'll do that. We'll share this there. So let me shrink this a little bit so we can see the whole label. So when we look at clean slate for Europe, we can see everything here for Slovenia, because it's imported through our Slovenian company, shipped from Slovenia and Germany. What's important? So you see mounts per dose, which is 20 drops. That's the daily amount, which creates 28 milligrams. So 10 by 2, 14 times 2 is 28, right? There's your vitamin C content. So what do we have? We have water, which is the foundation, sea salt, which is the trace minerals, vitamin C, which is the ascorbic acid, silicon dioxide. Here's the one we're going to hit on. This is what you're going to see for clean slate all throughout Europe. And then you have the preservative of the very, very, very small amount of potassium sorbate. So why silicon dioxide and not clinoptilolite? Pathway. Our raw ingredient we use to create all versions of clean slate, none of them are different, is clinoptilolite. But in the process, because we're not just taking clinoptilolite out of a mine, bringing it into our lab, taking powder and throwing it in a bottle, we are processing it. And in that process, we are creating naturally sourced silicon dioxide and orthosilicic acid, and the fragments that are part of that. So nothing's changed, but it's important to understand that through the process that we're using of using the raw clinoptilolite, we're creating natural silicon dioxide, which is orthosilicic acid, which is derived from clinoptilolite. So the entire solution comes from clinoptilolite. But for compliance and because of process, we have to put on the label that it is silicon dioxide, because that's what we're creating in our process. We use our raw, we process it. That's what we put in the bottle. In the United States, we can put on there that the raw is clinoptilolite. Hopefully that's as clear as mud. So that's why you'll see the different labels in different countries going forward. And when someone asks you, great, why does it say this? You'll be able to refer to this video, this conversation, to say, look, here's the process. And it truly is a production pathway. It's really, really important. It is what we're producing. It is what we're creating. And in Europe and in the EU, clinoptilolite is seen as a drug. Because look at the orthosilicic paper that we touched on: vaccine adjuvant, anti-tumoral agent, hemodialysis agent, bone formation. Those are drug pathways. They really are. Drug delivery, drug development pathways. Clean slate is not a drug. This is and always will be a nutraceutical. So we have to make sure that we have it labeled properly, that it's produced properly, one, to work, but also make sure that we meet proper compliance. And because of the community, how amazing you guys are, and the growth and development that we've had, This product's gone to over 60 countries already. In COVID, as a baby, we haven't even been, and this is an important part that I want everyone to understand, because you're here, you're the early adopters. This company isn't even born yet. We're still in our gestational process. I knew, and our team knew, that it was going to take a year to develop this baby in the womb, to make sure that we could get everything worked out. You get everything so then you can be born. And our birthday will be in February 2nd, 2021, because we were conceived February 2nd, 2020, because we love the numerology of it. But just like elephants, humans take about 9 to 10 months for gestation. Elephants, because they're a lot bigger, take about a year. Same process, right? So we get to work out all these little details. So we have this amazing baby come out, and we just celebrated 8-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus. It's kind of the same thing, only this baby is going to be a little bigger. Hopefully we get to touch more people in philosophy and influence, because, well, that's kind of what we'd like to follow. He got to walk, teach, and heal. We do the same thing. So that's the important part. We'll hit on a couple more questions here as we go through, because I've been rambling for apparently 45 minutes, which I'm pretty good at. Mihail asked a question: does Clean Slate bind with only positively charged things, or also attracts things in some other way? Do all toxins have positive charge, or also pesticides? So this is one of the unique aspects of creating the fragments and also using the vitamin C. So clinoptilolite naturally is negatively charged, so it has a unique affinity to bind positively charged ions. So heavy metals, most toxins, are positively charged. So clinoptilolite has a unique affinity to bind these toxins, but there are some toxins like hexavalent chromium, Chrome 6. So if you ever watched the movie Erin Brockovich, so our U.S. contingent probably knows that, and they've seen Erin Brockovich. Hexavalent chromium is a major carcinogen. It's terrible stuff. And Hinckley, California received hundreds of millions of dollars in compensation because PP, I think it was PP&G or PPE, I remember the name of the company, the not oil company, the energy company, that was dumping tons and tons of these carcinogens and toxins into lakes that were leaching into the water supply, and killed a bunch of people, basically killed an entire city and town. And so as means of compensation, they gave them a bunch of money and said, we're not really going to fix the problem, but here's some money to take care of your cancer treatment and you're going to die. And in Iran, they actually have a major issue with natural sources of hexavalent chromium in their water supply. And there was some interesting clinical studies done in Iran where they treated the outside of clinoptilolite to give some of the binding sites a positive charge, because hexavalent chromium is negatively charged, and it was binding them. It would remediate hexavalent chromium. Sodium is positively charged, right? +1, Na1, Na +1. That's sodium on the chart, on the periodic table of elements, which I don't have in front of me. I'm glad I can still reference it. I have to give props to my chemistry teachers. Clinoptilolite is a sodium aluminosilicate. So in creating the fragments, not only do we have the negatively charged structure, but we also free up some of the sodium binding sites. So you have negatively charged and positively charged binding sites. So in some of those instances where you might have a positively charged bad guy, like I say a hexavalent chromium, it can bind some of those. It can trap them. So if you know anyone in Hinckley, California, or you know someone who might know someone who might know someone in Hinckley, California, or someone around areas where they've got hexavalent chromium issues, it could be a really, really cool thing to make that phone call or make some contact. So same thing goes for pesticides like glyphosate. Glyphosate's positively charged, and we know clinoptilolite is very, very effective at binding glyphosate and other pesticides. So it's not just one category, and this is the important part to understand with this amazing crystal of what it's been put here for and what we understand. And this is why a lot of the researchers that continue to research this amazing little crystal, we are just touching, we're just at the cusp, at the beginning of understanding what this amazing crystal can do. But if you look at the literature, as we just looked at with orthosilicic acid, this stuff is absolutely amazing in its capability and what it's been created for naturally. But we're just scratching the surface. But we are light years ahead because of the process that we're using to process clinoptilolite into a form that is bioavailable, but also able to release a lot of these little goodies, the orthosilicic acid that it holds, right? This treasure of our main building block. And this is what's so important. Why does your hair, your skin, your nails, your joints start feeling better when you're using Clean Slate for an extended period of time? It's not just the detoxification process. It's the release of silica that is the building block for the production of collagen. Now, there are so many companies right now that are selling collagen supplements, when all you need to do is clean up the mess and feed the body the building blocks it needs to produce collagen naturally. And to hit on this point really quickly, this goes back to the pet cow effect that we've talked about, right? The pet cow effect is a law of physics that was created in 1972, looking at its PETKAU. Let me put this up here. So you guys can look this up and you can draw your own conclusions, because maybe I'm crazy. So the pet cow effect was a law of physics looking at radiation exposure and how it affects the body. But what it provides is the pathway to understand microdosing. Because your body only needs a little bit of stuff at a time. It doesn't need a lot. And this is the flaw in supplementation. Whether it's all different types of nutritional supplements, we try to load up on massive amounts of different stuff. Your body can't use it. Your body doesn't need it. You only need a little bit, because then your body can make it work. But when your body recognizes what you're doing, we have the ability to magnify what we're putting in energetically. And this is something that science is just getting into now. And so instead of spending loads of money on supplements, if you clean up the mess and you allow this amazing furnace, we'll put it that way, or this oven, to work the way that it's capable of working, you can use better ingredients and smaller amount of ingredients to still get the amazing outcomes, and probably better outcomes than you're getting with what you're doing currently. So if you are taking supplements, I challenge you for 2021. If you have your handful of supplements that you take on a daily basis, if you do, stop it, but use less of them. If you're doing that, if you think you need all that stuff, I'm not saying stop. Cut it by half. Cut it by 3 or 4 times, maybe 10 times. Use half as much. Use a quarter as much. Use a tenth as much. It's going to save you money, but if they're quality, your body's going to be able to use them more effectively. That's what the pet cow effect really touches on. It's a law of physics. So it goes to our foundation of just rethinking, right? Process things differently. And I think this is the stuff that happens when you use these things. you use your clean slate and you use more zero in because you start functioning at a much higher level. I know I have, that you just see things differently. It allows you to look at things differently. Let me see here. So let's get into some more of the questions. So yes, we'll make the articles are available. And yep, links will be available. The trace minerals are in Utah. Yes, we source from some of the inland seas in Utah. So the trace minerals are very, very clean. They're really high quality. And Matias is asking about doing some brochures. We'll probably do some of those. And we're in so many countries. We need your guys' assistance in some of that, in creating the content and translation and such, because I don't even know. I mean, we're in 60 countries. God knows how many languages we have. And I'm not even very good at English, as you can see. And my ability to speak Spanish, pequeño. When it comes to Dutch, Portuguese, German, Hungarian, Slovenian, Slovakian, Czech, I'm out. I don't know what to tell you. In the African dialects, thank God they speak English. So we need your help in that. If you guys want some brochures, get with the team, put some messages in the support chat on the website, or send some messages on the WhatsApps, and then we can work on those, because we are expanding the development of the website to create more content. You're going to see some major advancements of that here in January, because we're bringing on a much larger team for web development, because there's a lot more work that needs to be done and that we want done to create a better user experience and a better back office experience for you. But let's keep going. Birgit asks the question of how many members we have. I know we're over 15,000. That was as of earlier in December. So it just keeps going. The hits keep coming. And the one thing I have to tell you guys as a community and as a family, because I can't not reiterate this enough. This is family to us. All 15,000 of us plus, we're all family. So hopefully you treat everyone as such. And I'm wearing my Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas t-shirt today because I'm kind of the black sheep. So I'm the black sheep of the family. You guys can run with me or not. But we've got that. So there's a comment on chemtrails. Chemtrails are barium, aluminum, a whole bunch of other stuff. Can Clean Slate help clean up chemtrails? Yes. So if you're around them, and this just in, we all are, which is why the air you breathe is the most toxic thing you put in your body. Think about that. I think it's 30 cubic meters of air a day that you inhale, and none of it is clean. How much of the air do we breathe that is clean? Zero, nada, zilch, zero, none. It's all toxic. So why is Clean Slate important? Because you can't get away. Why do you want to continue to use this till you die if you want to live well? Because we can't get away from it. This is our exposure. This is our world. We can't change it. Yeah, here's the hard part, because Leanne asked the question about, is there a list of toxins and metals that Clean Slate removes? There's a hierarchy of heavy metals that clinoptilolite can bind, which is, I don't have the hierarchy correct, but mercury, cadmium, arsenic, lead, aluminum, cesium, strontium, uranium, gadolinium, iron in cases of hemochromatosis. I mean, the heavy metals, it will bind and hold on to. So the trace minerals, the calciums, the potassiums, the magnesiums that are also heavy metals, because they're lighter in molecular weight and molecular charge, they are exchanged. So this is why adding the trace minerals in here is so crucial, because the trace minerals that we add with the fragments attach or get inside the cage structure. And then when you take your drops, those are dispersed. The cage releases the lighter ones, the calciums, magnesiums, the sodiums, the potassiums and such, to grab onto the heavier, more dense metals and traps them inside the cage. This is why you see some of the literature talking about drug delivery mechanisms, because you can load this cage and then allow it to release stuff later on, which is what we're doing. But you also have fire retardants, PBEs, PBDEs, phthalates, glyphosate. The list is long and distinguished, and as I went over before, if you want to look up a specific subject, use DuckDuckGo, use PubMed, and you can use Google Scholar, but I don't know about the accuracy anymore. But use these resources and just search clenoptilolate and phthalates, or glyphosate, or clenoptilolate and cancer. And you can see the published literature. It's there. This is not new, right? We don't have to make anything up. We don't have to hype any of this. It's like the orthosilicic acid paper. Do we really need to hype that? No, it is what it is. I mean, it's just science. I'll post it here for everybody so you guys can download it here real quick too. Let me see. Go here, 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 here. Whoops. Let me see if I do this right. I'm gonna drop it in the box. Okay, so it's downloading right now. Okay, so all of you can download the orthosilicic acid file in the chat box right now. So you have that. So click on it, download it. Say hello to your new little friend. Let's get into some other, let me see, let me go back a couple minutes here. So we got that one, we got the pet cow effect. I'll hit on, hold on, let me make a note. I'll hit on restore in a second. I'm so excited for this stuff, just so you know. When we got the first samples in of restore, and I got a head high, and it made all the hair on my arms, which isn't a lot, but it made all the hair on my arms just stand up. I knew we were dealing with something fun. Christina just knocked it out of the park with what she created with this stuff. And here, I'll show you. Actually, I think I got this. So we'll do this real quick so you guys can see what the initial labels. We're going to do some branding, some additional branding on the color schemes for restore. So this is going to look different over time, but the initial look is going to look like this. I'll show it to you here. And then I'll show you the fun part. So this is what the sachet will look like initially. It's not just going to be black and white over time, but simple, clean. But I just want you to pay attention to one little component that is facts about what this is and what this does here. And this is all from Christina. This is her creation, her design. And it's this line right here. From our heart to your hands.
Feed your roots.
That's the key. Teresa, I'm muting you. So this is everything that we do has her heart in it, which is one of the reasons everything works so well, is she puts her energy into all of it. And as you know, she's like a supernova. and then some. So with, I mean, you honestly can say every one of these products is made with love, because that's what she is. She's just a personification of it. She's the Pegacorn. So and that's something that we really don't talk about much because people go, what? But it's true. And no one else can duplicate that because she's here. It's family. So we got that. Negatively charged heavy metals as well as positively charged toxins such as chrome 6 and glyphosate. Yes, that's correct, Brina. The clinoptilolite powders are really good for just the negatively charged stuff. But the way that we break apart the fragments, it shows that, and glyphosate's negatively charged, but some of the positively charged ions that we're able to bind, or the negatively charged toxins, because of the positive binding sites on some of the sodium that we free up, is able to bind there too. Yes, trace minerals are phenomenal in Utah. Birgit gets points for that. And Roland gets credit for posting the actual link. And so there is a question on artificial hips and alloys. So most artificial hips, knees, joint replacements, titanium rods are titanium. They're not supposed to leach and shouldn't be. They're not degraded by the use of clinoptilolite. Clinoptilolite and the fragments, they're inert, right? So they don't have a binding site. They don't react in the body. They don't oxidize. They don't create rust or anything. And that's one of the reasons that they use titanium, because titanium doesn't rust. But titanium, not supposed to leach, right? But it might a little bit. So, but titanium, when we've seen excretion studies of you using urine analysis, when we see people that are excreting a lot of titanium using Clean Slate, titanium's a whitening agent as well that's used in a lot of skincare. So ladies, that stuff that you're using to try to look better is sometimes not allowing you to look better on the inside. You're poisoning yourself slowly by trying to make your skin look better on the outside by using stuff topically. So, and what do we know? What have we seen over our gestational period since February? Cleaning yourself up inside, especially detoxifying your liver, makes your skin look better. So here's your 2021 pitch. You want the greatest skincare program? Don't touch your skin. Clean up the inside first. Start there. Because ladies, I know how much money you spend on skincare. Damn near $1 trillion a year collectively. Stop it. Doesn't work. Clean yourself up first. Watch what happens, and then you can do it. Use some coconut oil. You'll glow. Leanne's probably going, yes. Let me see here. So we got that. Hopefully you guys got the link because it's downloaded. Let me see here. So we got that. Bernie, thank you. We love you too. We love everybody here. You know, like I said, this is family. So here's the key. With family, there's always love. And with any relationship, because our kids have been home for the holidays. With any family dynamic, there's always love, right? Might not like you all the time, but there's always love. So we'll always come back to that. We love our community. We love all you guys. We might not like each other all the time, and that's okay, because that's the part of having a dynamic community, right? Is being able to share and grow with that. So always love. It's okay to not like one another every once in a while. It's okay to disagree, have arguments, what have you. And we understand that. And we love the feedback. That's why we're collaborative. Let me see here. Oh, so Birgit asked a question about aerotoxic syndrome. We actually have Angel, and I forgot Angel's organization, but she's in the UK, and she has I think it's the Aerotoxic Society, done a bunch of research on the aerotoxic syndrome and all of the issues that come from exposure from being in a plane for an extended period of time, especially for those that flew for a living, whether you're pilots or attendants. If it were me and I was in that space and I knew people that were still flying, everybody should be on these constantly. I mean, how many let's just use the flight attendants and not the pilots for a second, because the flight attendants work a whole hell of a lot harder than the pilots do. They get to take off, hang out for a little bit, and then make sure they land properly. The flight attendants, they're getting abused constantly, getting called stewardess, all this chaos, have to be happy and nice all the time. Not all the time, but the ability to be focused, and their sleep cycles are terrible, right? Their circadian rhythm is all jacked up typically. Zero in, focus, clarity, relaxation, feel phenomenal when you're awake. You're going to sleep well when you need to go out. And if your sleep cycles are all jacked up, it will help you rest and decalcify the pineal gland. This little guy, feed your brain the key neurotransmitters with zero in by feeding your gut the dopamine and serotonin. Serotonin, as we know, converts to melatonin in the pineal gland, so you're lights out. Here's idea number 3 from a marketing standpoint for 2021. Anybody taking melatonin supplements should be using Zero In and Clean Slate instead, because they can't sleep. Why? Because they're fluoride toxic in their pineal gland, and their body can't produce what they need to get them a restful sleep. I don't know if Sandy's on here. He's got to be on here, but I'm going to quote him from last week because, yeah, Sandy, I'm quoting you right now because it was in our video from last week and the short time I spent on the mountain. Actually, you on there? I'm gonna unmute you because you got your video on.
Hey, bro.
Brother.
Yeah, what did I say?
Your 2 capsules in the morning and 2 capsules at night.
Oh, yeah, because it's the age of Sagittarius coming in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sagittarius, it's Aquarius. You screwed me up. You look bad in social media.
Yeah, so what happened was I was in a really bad mood because our esteemed Prime Minister, Boris, on the Saturday before Christmas announced lockdown, where we're under house arrest, basically. And I was in a really bad mood because, you know, I wanted to spend time with my family and stuff, and we couldn't do it. And then I thought, okay, age of Aquarius dawning on the 21st. We have to raise our vibration. So on the Monday morning of the 21st, I took 2 Zero In, or limitless pills as I call them, and I felt really good. And then on the in the afternoon of the 21st, I took 2 more, and I was absolutely flying. I was absolutely buzzing. And I watched Police Academy as well to raise my, to raise my mood and stuff. And I was still buzzing the next morning when I woke up. I mean, I slept really, really well. I mean, must have got at least 7-8 hours sleep. So this stuff works, man.
I think that's the fun part, is like we talked about. He's like, okay, I took 2 in the morning, I took 2 in the afternoon. I was flying all day long, slept amazing, woke up and felt amazing. That was your quote.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's look at that for 2021. Here's your campaign. Feel amazing, sleep amazing, wake up amazing. Anybody taking that? I think you could find one or two friends, because we have a couple friends coming over for New Year's Eve. We can't have much of a party. We don't want to have much of a party, but we have a few friends coming over for New Year's Eve, and all of them are already using Clean Slate and Zero In. But if we had some that weren't, say, okay, what's your New Year's resolution? Well, I want to help people feel amazing during the day, sleep amazing, and wake up amazing. And everyone would go, you know what? I like your resolution. I think I want to adopt your resolution. How can I do that? You go, great, here's 2 things, you're done. Get on this, try this, and share it with your friends, and you'll get rewarded for it. Thanks for playing. Away we go. It's not that difficult. So good work, brah. Love you. Get back to it. And I'm kicking you off. Let me see here. So what else we got? Mihail asked a question if there's any other proof that all particles are really going out from the charge. Yeah, we have urine excretion analysis studies. We'll be posting more of those in the new website. But that's the big thing with clinoptilolite, is it's proven to trap everything. But in the urine excretion studies that we've done, so using a baseline of without using anything to see what people are excreting, and then having them use Clean Slate for a few days, and then do another urine analysis, we see a significant increase in different metals coming out. So it shows what's being trapped and bound, and that's different in everybody. Botox is an interesting one. I've talked to some people that have had issues with Botox, because Botox is just botulism in a bottle, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But it's going to keep nerves from working properly and deadening nerves, so you show no expression, which I don't know why you'd want to do that. This just if you have wrinkles, floss it. You earn them. It's like scars. You want to know how I got these scars? We earn them. Just rock it. Let me see here. Now people haven't seen me for. So Yulia's comment about her liver problems, and if you guys don't follow Yulia, she is amazing. She is the reason I put a couple posts up, I think last week, on what we're becoming from a silica and crystalline standpoint of the human progression, depending upon if you read that or follow it or such, and our development coming from 3D, 5D crystalline structures. Clinoptilolite's a whole key in that. But as she's just mentioned, she's had liver problems for years, and now her skin looks amazing. And her story has been just awesome. But if you have friends that have liver or kidney problems, those are your 2 filters. Clean up the filter. You don't want to replace the filter, because we're not cars. Right? You don't want to have an incision and have someone cut those out of you to replace another one. And here's the big thing with organ transplants. You're receiving a filter from someone else, or you're receiving tissue from someone else. That tissue is loaded with stuff that you have no freaking clue, right? And it's from often someone who died, but if it's from someone who's a match, they're a match based on your blood type and tissue type, but they're not a match based on their environmental exposure that's in that tissue. And it is my belief that's the reason we reject organs when you receive one, because everything else is done to make sure that you can accept it. But it's the toxins, the chemicals, the pollutants, and all of that stuff that's in the tissue itself that your body is going to react to, because it shouldn't be there, and your body's not seen it before in that context and might attack it. Food for thought. Rethink the process. So there's a question from Naud about, sorry if my pronunciation is not very good either. I'm a stickler for proper pronunciation on names. So if I screw it up, I apologize. I'll get better. Can bacteria be killed by Clean Slate? No. But you know what kills bacteria? You know what kills parasites? You know what kills viruses? Wait for it. your immune system. You are made to do it. Wait for it. Comedic pause. A healthy you keeps you healthy. Who knew, right? If your body's functioning properly, if your immune system's working properly, parasites can't survive in a healthy environment. Bacteria doesn't survive in a healthy environment. Or, hold on, let me rewind that. Your microbiome and microbiome supports both, right? Because you have healthy parasites, you have unhealthy parasites, you have healthy bacteria, unhealthy bacteria, healthy viruses, unhealthy viruses. A healthy body keeps everything in check. Period. So, do you need to use something to kill off the bacteria? Like antibiotics, right? What's the problem with antibiotics? They kill everything. Not just the bad guys, they kill the good guys too. So it destroys the microbiome of your gut. You don't want that. You want to make sure that your body can maintain itself. So what do? We just clean up the bad stuff. And then you put the good stuff in that allows the good stuff to take over. That's Zero In. That's what Restore is going to do. Hence, wait for it. Strategic moment. Why is it called Restore? Strategery. You're thinking. Got it. And let me see. Adriana asked a question if there's research on rats and such. Yeah, there's been actually loads of research done on it. Here's the thing. PubMed, look up clinoptilolate, look up the animal studies and such. It's there. So can't argue with it. Yeah, Birgit hit the Aerotoxic Association. That's Angel and her team. They're already here. And I got to thank Claire for that. If Claire's here, Claire's amazing. She's not hanging out with us right now. She probably left us, and she's on lockdown in the UK. She's not happy. And let me see here. Got that. So Hannah made a comment about Zero In giving her too much energy. And one of the things Christina's touched on first, who's ever had too much energy? Honestly, who wants to get too much done and feel too good? But your body can take up to a couple weeks to regulate. And so if you feel it's too much, use one. You can even open the capsule and use half if you want to try it. You can put it in food. It doesn't taste very good. It tastes like pepper because of the curcuminoids and some of the other components. But it can take a little bit for your body to rebalance, right? Because what we're doing is feeding your gut what it needs to regenerate and start producing the neurotransmitters it wants to do. And the caffeine that's in it, the anhydrous caffeine, and Sandy's a great example of this because of his experience. And we've seen it with numerous people that are using 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've even had one that used 8. Instead of getting this massive spike, the anhydrous caffeine, and you can look up the clinical research on this because I had to, and doing some analysis after people telling me that they'd use 6 or 8 capsules at once and they were completely calm. Anhydrous caffeine is unique and it buffers dopamine. So the 5 primary ingredients allow your gut to produce dopamine and serotonin, but it's the anhydrous caffeine that buffers it. So you never get too high, it extends it. And that's what Sandy was talking about. Take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And he was good all day, slept like a baby, woke up feeling amazing. He didn't spike. He plateaued and just maintained it. So it's like a jet taking off, right? You take off, you just cruise at 35,000 feet. You're there for a while, and then you gradually come down and you don't really notice it. You don't crash. So let me see here. Got that. Verena asked a question about gadolinium excretion. I don't have one yet, but if you go on our YouTube channel, and everyone should subscribe to our YouTube channel, this just in, it's free. All it does is I think it sends you a notification that there might be something new that's posted. And well, you probably want to know when new stuff is posted anyway. So subscribe to the channel. And it's great for content. Teresa Mock's testimonial, she, and Teresa's on here, had, I'm going to go meet with her shortly because she lives like 30 minutes from the office, I think. We will sit down and have a chat. She had a ton of MRIs done because of the head issue that she'd had, and was completely poisoned from gadolinium. And she's feeling much, much better now. And so we have seen some little spikes in gadolinium excretion, but I had not had the opportunity to work with someone that was extremely gadolinium toxic like Teresa was. I would have loved to have been able to get urine analysis from her so we could look at that. But if anyone knows Chuck Norris or Christy Brinkley, she's the one we really want, because Christy is suing multiple pharmaceutical companies because of the damage she incurred from multiple dye contrast MRIs, and isn't better yet from what I understand. I would love to chat with her. That's right. Birgit's got her scars from being an Aries, as you should. We went over liver and kidney problems. And so Wendy asked the question, is it normal I suddenly need 2-0 to work like one capsule before? Can it be my dopamine level is lower because of stress and that's why I need 2 now? Yes. Because, and this is the coolest part with 0N, is it's dopamine on demand. So when you get overwhelmed, or if you want to, here's the thing, you get overwhelmed and you want to overcome it, take a capsule or 2. If you just want to feel amazing, I'm going to give you a secret. In 2 days, so today's the 29th, at least in the United States, it might be the 30th for you guys, or in different parts of the world, because you're ahead of us. But in 2 days, on December 31st of the year 2020, I'm popping a few of these because I'm going to feel good for New Year's. Try it. You want to stay up till midnight anyway so you can celebrate, right? Because what are we going to celebrate? 2020 is over. Yay! Oh, it doesn't reset. Sorry, we're still dealing with the same stuff. So you might as well feel good when you do it, because, well, I don't think when we reset the clock that they reset the chaos. So take some golden pills of happiness for you. And if you're going to a New Year's party, take some with you. Actually, since it's the end of 2020, usually I would charge $4 to $5 per capsule. But since it's the end of 2020, $20 a capsule for your friends. And they'll go, this was amazing. And maybe you could give them 2 or 3 for $20. It's worth it. Something to test. Because if you can give somebody the ability to feel that good, like Sandy was talking about, it's worth $20. People spend more on alcohol and other drugs, and they won't sleep very well. Food for thought. And let me see here. Yep, there's some good comments on liver function. Food first. I love video of Verena typing. It's awesome. You know that angle, you kind of with your hands that way, with your green.
No, sorry, it's because my camera is at the bottom. It's very weird with this laptop. Sorry.
You look like a praying mantis right now. You're like. That's a martial arts technique. Do you know praying mantis? I love it. Let me see here. So we got tea question, took capsule in the beginning and took mine with food about 1 hour, now can do without food. And that's Kathy Joe provides some really good feedback on that. If you are sensitive to the strength of 0 in initially, because if you take it on an empty stomach, it'll hit and really do what it's capable of doing. But if you are a little bit sensitive to it, take it with food. It'll actually dull it a little bit. So you won't get the full impact of it. It'll dissipate a little bit. So food for thought. And this is why we have the community. I'm trying to catch up. Good God, there's 70 new comments and messages. Let me see here. So the last, so Verena, you were asking the question about dialysis patients. So we won't talk about patients per se. We'll talk about someone that has kidney issues.
Yeah.
So I will speak from experience, right? Because we don't need to worry about treating any conditions, especially something like this, because dialysis is a big deal. And why would someone need dialysis? Because their kidneys don't work. They're in renal failure, right? Their kidneys just don't function anymore. But here's the key. Your kidneys are a filter, right? They filter your blood. And what do they filter it from? Pollutants, toxins, junk. The more, and this goes back to conception, right? If you are conceived in a toxic soup, the development of the kidneys is impaired, or they're going to be loaded from the get-go. So over time, as they become just loaded up with junk, you got to clean them out. Problem is, not a lot of really good kidney cleanses out there. So what I've seen, and I've been able to work, and this is directly, these are people that I've directly worked with. So that's not me working with someone who worked with someone who worked with someone who worked with someone. Because it's a really sensitive, it's a sensitive conversation for people. First, and this is what's important with Clean Slate as it is now shipping to you guys. If you have someone new that you're introducing to this, tell them to start with 1 or 2 drops once or twice a day. This stuff is so freaking strong, which is that not the coolest thing? You have a bottle that says take 10, but you can tell people start with 1. They got one dropper. No. 1 drop, just 1. Do that twice a day, go up to 2 the next day, maybe do that for a day or 2, go up to 3, go up to 4, and they will find what works for their body. And then they can adjust over time. But I'll use the instance of the one guy that had stage 4 renal failure. His kidneys didn't work. And he was referred by a friend, and we had the conversation. He's like, well, I'm doing dialysis 3 to 4 days a week because his kidneys just didn't work and couldn't pee because his kidney didn't work. So anything that he puts in would only come out on his days of dialysis when he cleansed everything. So he had asked the question of, well, can I use this? Because, well, I can't flush anything. I said, well, it's not going to hurt you. And if they circulate through your system a little more, they're going to trap everything that they can, and they'll just hold on to it until they get flushed out. But let's see what happens. So we started with 1 drop twice a day. I had him bump up to 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then 7, and then 10 over a 2-week time frame. And what was really cool, and I think it was in the middle of week 2, so about 7 or so days in, he called and is like, I went pee today. And it's one of those things where it makes you smile, right? Because you know what's happening, but you don't want to celebrate too much because it's just one of those little victories. But as you start to clean stuff up, you'll see things change, right? It's the same thing for all of us. All of our organs are going to improve over time because we're just cleaning out the mess. the one unique aspect of how this little guy works is it's specific to you, right? So the results that I have with it are going to be different than the results that Sandy has with it, or the results that Verena has with it, or Mihail, or Birgit, or Wendy, or Yulia, or Christy, or Teresa, or I'm just going down the list, or Roland, because we're all unique. And what's really interesting, and we've seen this time after time after time, your body dictates what it wants to do with this product. The same thing goes for Zero In, right? Because of its adaptogenic nature, your body is going to dictate what it wants to do and when. If you take some at night, if you take a Zero In at night, the first time might get a little amped, but usually you'll see a shift. Instead of more dopamine, you see more serotonin. Serotonin converts to melatonin and you sleep better. That's the cool part. So, food for thought. It's my line for the day. And let me see. Yeah, Kathy Joe. So the tinnitus and ringing, it can flush out. It's a process, and this is one thing. Another thing that's really, really important for everyone to understand. As your body clears issues, we hear so many people talk about skin stuff come out, right? But if you've had issues, if you've had health concerns, or even psychological concerns, or trauma, or issues in the past, they might come out briefly as your body flushes them, because it's a matter of releasing them. You have the physical toxins that you can see come out. Some of it can be your sweat. Some of it can be what comes out topically and it clears. Some of it can be urine. Some of it can be your poo. Those come out. You have the emotional toxins. You have the spiritual toxins. All of this stuff comes out over time. You have to process it. It is removed. It is released. So if you see behavioral things change for a little bit, maybe you're irritable, maybe you don't sleep good for a couple nights, maybe you have wicked dreams. If you're dreaming about serpents and really dark stuff, that's Mercury. That's Mercury being removed from your brain. Just know it. Nasty bugger, but you want it out. So just know that when you're talking to your friends and you're talking to people around you and like, I have this going on, I have this going on. These aren't negative things. It's just part of the process. It's better out than in, is one thing that I always say. Drink more water. We have the trace minerals in the bottle now. So take more trace minerals, get some more Himalayan sea salt, Celtic sea salt, or good sources of good sea salts. And some of them are in the bottle, but hydrate more and just let your body process it out. And if it's too aggressive, what do we know? Back off. Don't use as much because you control the process. Use more Zero In because it'll overpower it. So, we got that. We made it through all of the questions in an hour and a half. I love doing these with you guys. I love spending time with you guys because I get to talk and you get to listen, and it's great. Every once in a while, someone else gets to chat on here. But any more questions? Because this is the last one we're doing this year. This is it. It's the last one. Can you believe we've been doing these like weekly for many weeks, and we're just getting started. I mean, we don't have to repeat a lot of stuff. Can you believe that? We've been doing this for almost a freaking year, and we're not running out of material. I have so many conversations on a daily basis. I'm like, we can do that. I was talking to Dory earlier today. I'm like, okay, we need to talk about collagen. We need to talk about women's health. We need to talk about this and this and this and this and this. There's so much to go over because there's so many different pathways that we're able to work within. And you guys, just so you get this for 2021, because it's going to be absolutely amazing. 2020 was absolutely amazing. I'm not going to lie. It's been great. it's been interesting. There's been interesting changes, but if we stood back and looked at it, 2020 has been pretty cool because we're here. Look at the platform that we have to change a lot of lives. You can unlock as many people as you want. You know, that's what's really cool. Is you're like the master thief now. You can pick locks and you can just go through. It's like, which one do I want to get into? Which one do I want to unlock? I want to unlock that one. I want to unlock that one. I want to unlock that one and that one. You can pick who you get to help. I mean, you know how much power is in that? Honestly, you can dictate every day who you're talking to, who you want to give blessings to. Got to use it right, though. Don't be greedy. Be abundant. Because if you give the gift of abundance, you receive abundance. That's what's cool, right? And it's not a matter of selling. It's just a matter of, dude, you got to try this stuff, because everybody that's on here that's posting stuff is like, you know what? I'm working better. Like Andre, Mihail, what they're doing over in Eastern Europe, in Slovenia, and I don't remember all the countries that they're in. But, you know, as athletes, you know, from a performance standpoint, here's one thing for athletes. We have some Olympic coaches and Olympic trainers and Olympic doctors. If you guys are athletes, or if you know athletes, what's coming in 2021, I'm going to give you a hint. We are going to change the way athletes perform. And you have the ability to change how athletes perform dramatically without drugs. Banned, substance free. That alone is a billion-dollar industry. You know how many athletes, especially elite athletes, do you know what LeBron James would pay to have the ability to just zone out every night, sleep better, function better? He spends over $1 million a year on his healthcare, and he's not doing anything like this. Think of that. All of the money people are spending on improving their performance, let's face it properly, and they don't have anything like this. They've never seen it before. And you know what professional athletes have a lot of? Influence. You know what professional athletes like to get? Money. That's what's cool. And if you guys need help with this and talking to athletes or talking to people, just ask. I mean, we're here as a community. You have everyone here to help you. But if you're having conversations with people and they're like, well, you know, how would I use this? Why would I use this? You know what? It's a matter of being able to present it properly. And this rewards model is designed strategically to allow you to show many different types how they can create influence. It's why we've created a partnership with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation here in the United States. The organization that's in charge of providing benefits to the families and kids of firefighters who've died in the line of duty. But you know what's even crazier than that? The majority of firefighters don't die in the line of duty. They die from the exposure of the toxins that they are exposed to in the line of duty. And we get to clean them all up and raise. This is an organization that looks to generate about $9 million a year, you know, for their programs currently. But my colleague who has the relationship with them went to the president and said, look, you know what, if we have a third of your population that does this to get healthy, if they get it, we'll bring in about $60 million a year for you. It got their attention because we're addressing their biggest issue, which is toxicity that kills them. And we're raising a massive money for the organization, which allows them to continue to provide benefits to what they're doing. And this is what's important. Rethink how you're presenting stuff. Do you have people in your community that have organizations that are looking to make more money? Are they looking to provide a service to their community? Cancer, heart disease, autism, arthritis. Pick one. They all are caused by heavy metals and environmental toxins. They all have, you know, some groups have a couple hundred people, some groups have thousands of people. And you can show them, okay, how many people you got in your organization? Well, 1,000, 10,000, 1.2 million, whatever. Great. This company will put a minimum, get this, a minimum of 20% of all of the revenue that they generate from your referrals back into your organization, and they don't charge you a thing to do it. No one does that. Crazy, right? Think of it. Oh man, if you have an ex-Tour de France athlete, Verena, cycling, the doping capital of professional sports, if you look, just research dopamine and sports performance and Olympic sports, but what dopamine does for knocking down barriers for performance in dramatically improving output, but then removing metals and toxins for an inhibition of function, metabolic function. And Mihail, Andre, they can make some posts on here with what they've seen. Go back through Root Your Life and get into Root Slovenia and Root Ukraine. Look at the posts that some people have had on sports performance. I mean, it's worth millions to these guys because of what you can do to improve their performance legally. And we won't talk about being able to flush out the stuff that they are using that might cause them to test positive in a drug test. No, the sponsoring program is honestly this: have them become an affiliate with you, or not an affiliate, sorry. Let me make sure that we do this. Have them become a free user, right? Have them become a customer, and they're sponsored. Each one of you is sponsored by Root, your family, but we sponsor you. You're our promoter, right? You're a sponsored athlete. You're a sponsored individual with Root. And here for 2021, the clothing line that's coming, because Mama and a couple of her colleagues have been working on clothing line. Ladies, there's some cool stuff coming. Guys, not as many options as the ladies will get. I know Sandy loves to wear tights and prance around like little yoga pants. Me, not so much. But there's some cool stuff coming. And let me see here. So that's the important part. I mean, it's the rethink aspect. You have the tools are there. It's just how you use them. This rewards model was strategically designed to be able to flow within different industries. You know, whether it's nonprofit organization, whether it's athletes, whether it's social influencers, whether it's network marketing, whether it's, you know, just sharing with friends and family, because that's what we do. This is a new generation of commerce. It's how it was designed. It's what it is what it is. It's Amazon on crack. Amazon didn't create an affiliate structure until they took over the world. It's no good, right? You can't make any money if everyone's already got an account. But if you're one of the people that's on the ground floor, it's one of the first people involved because someone got to share with you and you get to share with others and you get your piece of whatever you create, and you have a model that's not greedy, that will pay you infinitely for the value that's created. Then you can do some damage. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Birgit. Clothes. My hat's around here somewhere. It's my favorite hat. But there will be some stuff that's coming. Christina is actually working on some clothes that actually will detoxify the air and detoxify your skin while you wear it. She's working on that. Quite cool. And since they are becoming more prevalent, I'll put mine on. You can wear this as a bandana. You can wear this as an ascot. And you can wear this as a mask. And still talk through it because I got to figure out how we can do these. But see, I like just the black part, but I was banned from being able to use just the black part of the mask. So we have them. We'll figure out if you guys want these two, that we can come up with a plan. We'll see how this plays out, because hopefully come no later than January 20th, we might have an announcement that we don't have to wear masks anymore, but we'll see how the incumbent here in the United States is able to take care of stuff. We'll see. And let's see here. So I think that's good. We hit about an hour and 45, 2 hours. It's late for you guys in Europe. I got to catch up on stuff. So let's say this. Happy New Year. It's been a great year. We're just getting started. I love you guys, but not as much as I love the Pegacorn, just so you know. Don't get too excited over that. She wins. She always wins. She hasn't called me while we've been in here, so I didn't have to hop off and take another call. So go enjoy the last couple days of this year. See how many people you can round up, and $20 a capsule, maybe $20 for 2 or 3. Party favors, because you want to start your year off well. If you still have some 0N left, because 0N will be filled. The production's being done right now. We're just getting the blistering done for the production runs and the new boxes, because it has the banned substance free logo right there. In a couple weeks, all this COVID stuff and the end of the year has been a bit of a hassle. Because if you got 0N right now, it's a commodity. So I would sell it for more, because not many people have it. But everybody have a happy new year. Hopefully we get to see a ton of stuff on social media with people doing cool stuff with putting clean slate in drinks. Remember, if you're drinking alcohol for New Year's and you want your liver to function well, or if you're drinking wine, put your drops in your glass. It's amazing. If not, take some before you go to bed so you can party all night, and then take your 0N before you go to bed so you sleep like you're in a coma. Your liver gets to clean out everything overnight, and you wake up feeling recharged and refreshed, and you're ready to go for 2021. Does it not just sound bad that we say 2021? Like it was victorious. 2020 didn't win. So it's all good. It is great in a Bloody Mary. So love you guys. Yeah, 5 to 10 drops, Kathy Joe, or tweak it as you may, kind of play with that. The salty taste doesn't, once you put it in water, you really can't taste it. So, but if you go off of that, if you do a lot, if you do what I do, and maybe you put half a bottle in a Bloody Mary, maybe, I don't recommend it. And the best thing to go in a Bloody Mary, bacon. I'm out on that. Anytime you can end a conversation with bacon, it was epic. So I love you guys. Have a happy new year. I'll get this posted here in a few. Konnichiwa.
Thank you, Clayton. Love you.
Love you guys. Bye, all.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to everybody.